Shalom to the nation of Israel. This is Barzal coming in the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Rechakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and to the whole elect pushers word and truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. This is a very quick one titled, same title you probably heard before. I can tell this wartime machine is starting up. Right? The war machine is starting up. Right? And before I continue, fair use, fair use, fair use. I do not own any of these clips, nor do I receive any type of monetary gain off of any of these videos. This is just for educational purposes only. Fair use, fair use, fair use. So I'm going to let this play. I'm going to let this start this. Actually, let's start now.
Today, at my direction, we are establishing the Wartime Production Unit, or WPU, at the Department of War. This new unit has been redesigned from the existing Joint Production Acceleration Cell and will focus on transforming how we accelerate the delivery of critical capabilities to our warfighters.
We have some major news right now. The United States Pentagon and Pete Hegseth have announced that they are changing the way they are acquiring weaponry for the military, changing the United States to a wartime footing, no longer a peacetime footing. Pete Hegseth made the announcement today, making a major shift in the process for acquiring new weaponry. He said in a speech to military commanders at the National War College, quote, "Today, at my direction, the defense acquisition system as you know it is dead. It is now the war-fighting acquisition system. This isn't just a name change. We are not building for peacetime. We are pivoting the Pentagon and our industrial base to a wartime footing, building for victory should our adversaries F around and find out." He went on to say that the restructuring is aimed to address a, quote, "unacceptably slow procurement by cutting DoD red tape." The United States Department of Defense is officially on a wartime footing. I will provide you more updates. Spread the word. Full updates on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along to the update on all the news that you need to know about. We have some major news right now. The United States
also you
Pentagon.
come up here. Right, you see it says NATO chief urges Europe to prepare for long-term world war with Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. So there you go. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Now, actually, yeah. So, well, there you go. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer. But the things, every brothers have to understand, everything's about gradualism. It's not going to just snap the fingers and then we're in war. That's not how it works. First, you got the Cold War, right? And then you got the war when the war starts to spark, and it starts to get hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, and then it's done, right? You got the peak and then it's done. Someone loses and it's done, right? And wars go over a span of years. It doesn't happen in 1 year. I know brothers want to get out of here. Of course we do. We all do. But you have to be a realist at the same time, because you have to mentally prepare yourself. This is a race of endurance. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So you have to pace yourself. You have to understand that we're going to be here a little bit longer, potentially, because every world war was a span of at least, I think, 5 years, right? So this is the last world war, so it most likely will be probably a span of 5 years at least, right? But a lot of things, the prophecies are going to pop up within between that time, or it might be even a little bit longer. You don't even know, because remember, time for us and time for the Most High, it's not the same, right? 1,000 days for us is 1 day for the Lord. So what is a couple years for the Most High compared to us, right? That's like a couple seconds, if not half a second, maybe. I don't even know what that equates to. You can do the math and actually get the actual number, but I'm not going to do that. So you have to understand that. So you have to mentally prepare yourself, because if you're thinking that we're going to be here out of a year, well, you have to remember, war doesn't last over a year. War doesn't last over a year. It's over a span of years, right? So the war with the bear, and it's in I just mentioned the other one. You said Europe prepare for a war with Russia, China, North Korea, and there was another country, Iran, right? It's not going to be over 1 year. It's going to be over a span of years. I'm not saying this because I want to stay here. I'm just telling you the truth, right? And that's how the Most High is going to sift people out, because if you can't handle that, then you're just going to fall out, right? If you don't have the ability to endure, you're going to fall out. So you have to mentally prepare yourself. You can't be telling yourself it's a year. I understand certain elders and heads are saying, "Oh, we're here out of your year." I don't believe that, because you have to understand war happens over a span of time. It doesn't just pop off like that, You're even seeing it right now. It's not like consistent war where, Iran was peppering with Israel and then it stopped, right? Then there's some talks. Da, 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 da. That's how it was in other wars. It's the same shit. So it happens over a span of years, right? The point is that we're in the last war. So this is, it's only like maybe 5 to 6 years, maybe, right? We'll see. But I don't believe it's going to be in a year. I don't believe it's going to be in 2 years. And I don't even think 3 years. As much as I want it to be, because even with the MOTB, right, the digital ID, they're just rolling out now. We don't know what that time frame is from when they start putting it out, the digital ID, to when they stop and say, okay, we have to implement the MOTB, which is the physical mark that's going to go in your body. We don't know the time frame. We would like to say it's a year, but the reality is most likely not, because you understand gradualism. There's gradualism on the left-hand side and there's gradualism on the right-hand side. So you have to be a man and gird up your loins like a man and don't be a little bitch, right? You have to be a realist. Yes, you got to hasten the day, 1000%. You obviously want it to happen next year to be out of here, but you have to be balanced, right? You have to be balanced at the same time, or you're gonna fall out because you're gonna burn out. You're gonna burn out. It's like you're in a race, a marathon race, and you're sprinting. You're gonna burn out. You're gonna run out of gas, right? Anyways, so Matthew 24:6, it says, "And ye shall hear," because we're not gonna be even doing this forever. We can't. Eventually, we're not gonna be able to do this. So that one, because prophecies have to pop off, and the elders brought out in a camp at the end of camp that there's books that we don't even have. So there's prophecies that we don't even have, right? So it's prophecies that we don't even have. So we don't even know the time frame. So that's what I'm saying, that, right? So you have to mentally prepare yourself. It doesn't matter how long it is. I'm not going to take the MOTB. I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep pushing this word, right? And then when I can't even push the word on the highways and byways and on the internet, I'm going to stay true to Yahweh Yahushai, regardless of what situation I'm in. That's what you have to think. You have to think long term. You have to think. You have to be thinking. You have to be thinking the long game. You're going to be playing the long game with yourself. You have to be thinking long game, because this is a game. This is a race of endurance, not of speed. Right. So Matthew 24:6, it says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Exactly. So these wars are going to come, and then they're going to pass, and we're still not going to be at the end. Okay? That's what it means. So even when these wars are going to come, they're going to be fighting, boom, 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 right? Then, U.S. is going to shoot on, the other nations are going to shoot on U.S. Even when that happens, we're still not going to be at the end yet. And we don't even know what that time frame is, because remember, wars don't happen within a year. Look at every World War, okay? "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows," not the end, the beginning of sorrows. So those are just when the sorrows just start to begin, right? And then it continues to read, right? So Matthew 10 and let me see. Okay. From Matthew 10:34, it says, "Think not that I come to send peace on earth, but I came not to send peace, but a sword." So he came to bring death, destruction, to kill. "For I come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own. Slakia. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household." Right? "He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." Right? "And he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it." So you got to endure to the end, even if it requires you to give up your life, right? But you don't take that MOTB. But the main reason why I read this is because there's going to be war in your house. There's going to be war in your family. There's going to be separation. There's going to be one side against another side. So there's going to be war on all aspects of the word. And that happens over time, right? War is a buildup. It doesn't happen. First you got the Cold War, and then you got the sparking of the war, right? You got the kindling of the war. Sorry, you got the sparking, then you got the kindling, and then you got the fire starts to brew, and the fire gets bigger and then bigger and then bigger and then bigger, and then it hits its peak, and then it gets put out, right? And then I just read it. Even when it gets put out, we're still not at the end, right? It said the end is not yet. Even when this war comes and pass, we're still not at the end. So even when America gets taken out, Babylon the Great gets wiped out, we're still not going to be at the end. So there's still more time that's going to have to, still things have to come because Yahushua has to come, right? That part might happen quick. It might happen quick, or it might be a year or 2 years. We don't really know. So, but at the same time, you want it to be quick, obviously. We don't want to be here. You don't want to stay in this fucking place. But you have to be balanced. You have to be balanced or you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. You have to be balanced and you have to tell yourself the truth. You have to tell yourself the truth. And the truth is that it could be a lot longer than you expect. So you have to tell yourself a little bit longer than what you want it to be, actually. So you're like, no matter how long it is, I'm not going to give up. No matter how long it takes, I'm not going to turn my back on the plow, right? No matter how tough it gets, right? I will not retreat, right? I'll keep pushing forward regardless, right? It could be me. You never know. I could be wrong, but what I'm saying is 3 years, but I don't think so because, I mean, war doesn't happen within 3 years, right? It doesn't happen within 3 years. But the scriptures do say the Most High is going to shorten the days. And that's why the days are shortened. So based on what I'm saying, it could be 5 years, 6 years on paper, but it didn't feel like 5 years, 6 years. It felt like 3 years because the days have been shortened. You get what I'm saying? So that's how the Most High helps us out, by speeding up the days, right? 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, right? So I just read that to show that, there's going to be destruction, there's going to be variance, people are going to be at each other, so there's going to be war in all aspects of the word. So yeah, so if that's happening in your household, don't be surprised if that's happening, right? That's part of that's part of the prophecies, right? So yeah, anyways, that's it on that. I'd like to close out by saying, Kahal Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Gracha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and to the whole of the elect push his word and truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. Abad Babal, Kwam Yasha Allah, and Shalom.